Okay, folks, so I think one of my most popular but controversial thoughts has been about the evolution of L&D and what I call defining L&D today in a modern organization and shifting this from what we look at as learning, and I put in quotation marks, and also classes learning to what I call performance engineering. So let's break that down and actually get to what I mean. So if we look at the left hand side, I've illustrated here what is looked at in probably 90% of organizations as traditional L&D. So what the business thinks, what the stakeholders think, and probably what other people think when you say, hey, I'm in L&D. So things that come to mind is most likely compliance training. It's pretty popular in that space. Classroom instructional training, being custodians of what people, and people have definitely said to me this to me over my career for the last 15 years of fluffy stuff and other fun content, and doing yearly tick box exercises. And actually, that's a really difficult brand to have because it really stops you as a professional and a team to being able to provide the impact and get the credibility that you need to deliver results and help a business perform. So what I've suggested is that you can actually move to this model of what I call performance engineering and performance engineers, because I really do feel like in the L&D space we are all engineers of some sort. I'm not talking about tech people here. I'm talking about engineers of learning, of growth, engineering's people ability to perform and do what they need to do in their role. So performance engineering is all about that. And performance engineering is looking at being a consultant and taking a performance consultant approach. So less order taking, more conversational, less transactional. How can we get to the root cause of issues and actually solve for a why? Behavioral change. So like it or not, a lot of stuff that has to do with L&D is about behavior change, and behavior change takes time. It's not weeks, it's not months, it can be years, it can be decades, and that's not always great for people to hear, but it's true. Behavioral change is a big part of the role, from a psychological perspective, and trying to help people change their behaviors as humans and adopt new ways of working. And then removing barriers. In this world, we shouldn't be custodians of L&D or putting doors around L&D. We should just be removing barriers for people to get access to information, to get resources, whether that is learning it or not. It's not the job of an L&D team to be like a dragon kind of outside trying to looking away access to all of this information. It's actually to remove those barriers and essentially take L&D out of that process to allow people a simpler and more friction-free experience to get that kind of content. And then lastly is employee experience. So looking at how can our learning and performance functions in this way of performance engineering affect that whole employee experience? And in my belief, if you've seen work before, read it or seen a video in this series too, where actually I've looked at how does a learning and performance function impact the whole talent life cycle, which I believe is all the way from when you're first attracting talent all the way up to when you're trying to retain talent as well. So look, as always, they are my thoughts, but this is something I'm very passionate about, and I believe making that evolution, whether you want to call it performance engineering, whatever it is that works for you and your organization. I think there's some little tweaks there from a mindset perspective, from an impact perspective, that can really help anyone who is a L&D professional solo or an L&D team in any organization today. But like I say, they're just my thoughts. I hope they have been helpful. If you do have any questions or comments, leave them in the below and I'd be happy to elaborate further. Bye.